Bill Shakespeare Project presents This Week in Shakespeare for the week ending Monday, October the 29th, 2018. Hola, Bartophiles, I'm Bill, and welcome to the 218th episode of This Week in Shakespeare, a video release brought to you by the Bill Shakespeare Project. This is our weekly opportunity to let you know about the latest and greatest in Willie Shakespeare headlines coming at you every Tuesday, because for me, Tuesday is news day. The goal here is to hit you with a quick blast, no more than 10 minutes tops, of Bard-related news. Plus, we'll try to serve up some historical dates for what were the past 7 days of the year. So, this week's news stories included: the Santan Sun News ran the story of the opening of Southwest Shakespeare Company's 25th anniversary season in Mesa, Arizona, kicking off the season with Pericles and Frankenstein running in repertory, followed by later productions of As You Like It and The Taming of the Shrew early next year. The New York Times ran an extensive and somewhat late obituary of Cicely Berry, who was the influential voice director of the Royal Shakespeare Company. Berry passed away on October 15th. The Wall Street Journal ran an interesting op-ed on what they called Shakespeare's uncomfortable message for baby boomers, about how King Lear confronts the challenges of the empty nest, retirement, and facing one's own mortality. The Guardian ran a fascinating piece on how poet Ted Hughes was obsessed with what he called Shakespeare's blood cult and how it held the key to all the playwright's works. The Daily Standard reviewed Troilus and Cressida by the Royal Shakespeare Company, running in Stratford-upon-Avon through November the 17th, giving it 4 of 5 stars, and saying that this is a sweeping and confident production of a bewilderingly rarely performed play. And finally, the Washington Post reviewed Faction of Fools' Commedia dell'arte version of Henry V and WSC Avant-Barde's reimagining of Twelfth Night. Each sounds like a fun alternative to the usual fare. Now let's take a look back on the last 7 days and how they relate to Shakespearean history, both his and the history in his plays. On October the 23rd, 42 BCE, the Second Battle of Philippi took place, where the armies of Antony and Octavian defeated the supporters of Brutus, who committed suicide. That event closes the play Julius Caesar. October the 23rd, 2016 marked the announcement by the Oxford University Press of their new Oxford Shakespeare series that for the first time gave co-writer credits for up to 17 of the plays, including Christopher Marlowe for the 3 parts of Henry VI and Thomas Middleton for All's Well That Ends Well. On October the 24th, 1537, Jane Seymour died. No, not the actress, but the third wife of Henry VIII. She married Henry 2 weeks after his previous wife, Anne Boleyn, was executed for treason. Jane died less than 2 weeks after giving birth to a son who would later reign as Edward VI. She was the only wife of Henry who was given a queen's funeral. October 25th is St. Crispin's Day, the day of feasting in honor of the twin saints Crispin and Crispian. On this date in 1415, the forces of Henry V won a decisive victory over the French at Agincourt. This victory of a vastly outnumbered English army over the French is depicted in Henry V. Also on October 25th, this time in 1460, Parliament passed the Act of Accord, which while leaving Henry VI on the throne of England, named Richard, Duke of York, and his descendants heirs to the crown, even though Henry's own son, Edward, was 7 years old. And this was all seen in the 3rd part of Henry VI. On October 26, 1996, the film adaptation of Twelfth Night, directed by Trevor Nunn, and starring Helena Bonham Carter as Olivia, premiered in the U.S. On October 27, 1401, Catherine of Valois was born. Daughter of Charles VI of France, she would later be married to Henry V as part of a peace treaty between France and England, which also named Henry the heir to the throne of France. She would give birth to Henry VI, and after becoming a widow, she would marry Owen Tudor, to whom she birthed Edmund Tudor, the father of the future Henry VII. October 28, 1978, marked the night that NBC broadcast the film Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, which sounds like, well, I'm sure it rivals Hamlet. On October 29th, 1618, Sir Walter Raleigh, famed writer and courtier during the time of Elizabeth, was executed by beheading for conspiring against her successor, James I. And that was your Week in Shakespeare, brought to you by the Bill Shakespeare Project. Now, if you've enjoyed this news review, tell a friend and hit the subscribe button to keep from missing these news, reviews, and history videos. For our daily blog and previous Twiz episodes, including links to the news stories we covered this week, as well as the real Bill Shakespeare Project podcast, check us out at thebillshakespeareproject.com. And we'll catch you next week.